Hi everyone! If you've reached this point in the project, that means that you're still in the midst of phase 2. And you probably have watched instructional video 2.1, so now you're here in instructional video 2.2. And again, we're really just kind of talking about designing and building. So in this phase, and in this particular video, I really wanted to go over some of those tech tools that you can use with your students during this phase in the construction, the creation, and the building of your actual garden. So by taking this to some sort of a gamification aspect or that online gaming, we really can get those students involved and excited about the project. Now in the phase 2 overview, I have linked two tools. I have linked Minecraft EDU, so the educator edition, and I've linked Gardena. So you can find those both here in my phase 2 overview. They will also be linked on the Google sites. Now, the difference really between Minecraft Education Edition and Gardena is, really they are two very different things. Minecraft and Gardena, I have listed them obviously here in the phase 2 overview, so you can kind of see a side-by-side difference, and I will give you a tour of both of those sites. But Minecraft, really it comes down to pricing. Minecraft is definitely more elementary school, definitely more kid-friendly. I know, being a 4th grade teacher myself, that a lot of students look at something like Minecraft, they're like sold, they're bought into the project. So initially Minecraft was something that came to mind when I was creating this project, and it was like a huge selling point for me in the sense that felt that I could really, trick some kids into learning. I could really rope some kids into this project because it had a Minecraft kind of background to it. So again, very appropriate for, something that the students are interested in and can really give them that motivation to participate. Now, unfortunately, you within Minecraft Education Edition login or an account can only log on a few times for free. Then unfortunately after that you're going to need to purchase a subscription. So now whether you're in a classroom or a school, or maybe you are with another organization, you do have options. You can actually look into volume licensing, or you can actually directly purchase subscriptions. But obviously if your school, you pitch this kind of idea to your school and they're on board with the project, they might really look into more of that volume licensing. The direct purchase option is going to give you the chance to purchase just those individual subscriptions for the school. And it's roughly $5 a user per year. So initially that doesn't seem much. However, it really depends on, what grade level students you're working with, what's your grade level size or your team or group. Obviously that over time can add up. Obviously it's just an initial cost, you're good for the year. But if you've got something like 50, 60 kids in a grade level, that can really make a difference. So perhaps looking at funding or grants, which I will bring up towards the end of this video, might be a great use of that. And you can really put that money towards this particular fee. So that's where, my ideas kind of shifted more towards Gardena. Now, I personally, when I put this project together, I would probably use both of them. I would give students the choice, so if they wanted to use both to design, they totally could. If they wanted to use one or the other, I feel like that's totally fine. Either way, they're getting the opportunity to design something virtually. Now, Gardena is definitely really considered to be more of like not necessarily an adult site, but like definitely for older people that are really looking into more of like landscaping. But I definitely really think that this could be easy to use for those intermediate 3 through 5 or 3 through 6 levels. I enjoyed playing around on this site, and I like that the design center where you can kind of move and manipulate objects and things had a grid background. So when I think of grids, I think of graph paper. I think that specifically speaking for like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, this would be great to really kind of incorporate that math component of the STEAM project and really, ask questions about perimeter and area. So it'd be as simple as designing something on Gardena and printing it off, and really challenging students to think about what materials they're going to need to cover this perimeter they've outlined, and so on. So I think Gardena is more concrete with those area and perimeter things that you could tie in. Obviously, you can tie in all sorts of different things, whether it be fractions, decimals. We're talking about money here, costs of things. But I really, as soon as I saw the grid background, I immediately thought about perimeter and area. So that's something definitely that you could think about. That's something that I could envision. Um, but I really think that both are totally acceptable, totally are fine, as long as you're getting them to not only work with a text tool, you're getting them to collaborate and kind of bounce ideas off each other, and we're engaging in that multidisciplinary learning. So one is free, none is not. However, Gardena doesn't really have like plant icons like corn, squash, or other things, etc. So students would kind of have to use their imaginations, use the icons available, and maybe make a key if they were to print it out. So definitely a lot of creativity is going to be needed on both sides, but I again think both tools would be fit for the job. Now, just to give you a little insight of what the Gardena Garden Planner looks like, you can obviously follow my links found in my website, or you can literally just Google Gardena Garden Planner, and this is the kind of thing that comes up. So obviously, they've got a nice scale here. You can scale things up, or you can scale things down depending on, what you and your students are comfortable, or, the size of the plot that you have. They also here on the left-hand side of the page have great tools here. You can obviously make your plot lawn, earth bed, obviously for your garden, you may want to do that. But it really is, again, dependent on what you and your students want to design. This is where they can kind of be free to choose. Down below, after I draw the little plot here, you might be able to do something like this. And maybe we just wanted a triangle, for example. You could keep going. You can add, and this is where the kind of not necessary things are, but maybe you want a fence around it. This is where students can really kind of work with that idea of having a perimeter. Totally fine to do. Obviously, there's other items. You may, again, want a raised bed or a pergola. We don't obviously necessarily need a playhouse or a greenhouse, which again, this is where like maybe in some sense Minecraft might be more efficient than Gardena, but again, I really prefer the grid background. And again, they do have raised bed options and pergola options. Down below, this is where I kind of had mentioned before. There are trees, shrubs, flowers, and grass, and some fruits and veggies. Again, there are like carrots, potatoes, simple things like that, but there are not a plethora of every fruit, vegetable, or crop out there. So this is where students can kind of use their imagination. They can click on the icons and have them in certain areas, stretch them out, make them smaller, larger, however they want to label their plots or their areas for growth. One of the things that students probably won't use, and I would advise my students not to use, the lighting, the furniture, things like leisure and vehicles, because again, that's more for that architectural at-home kind of adulty designs. I really do think that this is a great tool to use. You can move things around pretty easily. On the right-hand side, we have the grid. You can change it up. You can change up the surfaces. You can add notes. You can also kind of add that little planning sketch there. It is completely up to you on how you would like to use this, or how what tech tool you prefer, but that is kind of a look inside Gardena. Now, as far as Minecraft Educator version, the Education Edition, I have linked this website into my website, and obviously you can come here to find more information on how it works, how to teach with Minecraft. You can sign in there at the top, but what I have found to be very helpful, and something that coming from myself that was not interested in Minecraft or didn't know anything about Minecraft, it was difficult for me on my Mac to really operate all the keys. There were a lot of options and features. I did resort to YouTube, and I will share this channel on my website, but there is a whole channel really entitled, and kind of like a little sub channel playlist entitled Learn to Play. There are 36 videos here in total, and they were created by the Minecraft Education Edition site. So again, you can get familiar with the Minecraft basics, controls, the how to play tutorials, really understanding the different settings, managing classroom settings. Literally, I feel and I felt more comfortable after using this, but any Minecraft question you may have will be answered in one of these videos. Whether you use the camera, different things like that, slates, all sorts of things. Again, this is a very farm to table is really intended to be very simplified. They don't need to be doing anything super crazy here, but it really is just plotting out a garden, designing something, and using that kind of those area and perimeter concepts. Another little video I did find really kind of influential in my peer feedback process and my reflective process, and something that I did appreciate was that the Minecraft Educator Edition site had a video, and I believe it should be 13 on this playlist, how to use Flipgrid as an assessment tool in Minecraft. So I thought that that was really awesome that, I looked at this having Flipgrid in mind, and this kind of solidified my decision to use that as not only a tech tool, but a reflective tool. So again, you can create different lessons, joining multiplayer games. Again, they're not really necessarily gaming or coding, but these are something, if you're really captivated by Minecraft, you may not necessarily be needed for farm to table, but perhaps you want to kind of start another project in the future with coding. This is the place to find all of this. There are so many different videos here. They also give you some kind of uh, Easter egg, different structures, different type of tutorials. There really is everything and anything under this playlist. So please, please, please feel free to check that out. Next, and quickly on my little point of agenda here, is Flipgrid. So much like phase 1 and much like phase 3 and phase 4 will be set up, phase 2 students are expected to reflect on their progress via Flipgrid. So maybe perhaps things that went well, things that did not go well. You can see a more in-depth kind of idea or walkthrough of Flipgrid on my phase 1 page with those instructional videos. But again, just like phase 1, you'll go to Flipgrid, you have your grid here, you can start another topic here in the right hand corner just underneath phase 1, and that's where students can respond. They obviously have the option, if you provide them with it, to respond to one another. You can share out with other students. Again, totally customizable, totally up to you, but the reflection point at the end is so, so, so important to really kind of understand where your students are at. Now, lastly, and actually pretty importantly, when you're creating and kind of really implementing this project, you're going to want to think about the funding for this project. Now, your school may have an agricultural fund, or you may already have grants available to you, or a science fund or budget. But if you do not, you really would like to, or you should consider looking into grants. Now, this PDF will also be located on my website, but this is just one of the many, many, many grants that would apply to not only a STEAM project, a project-based learning project, but also a farm to school or a school garden type grant. Now, the National Sustainable Agricultural Coalition does have a grant that can be available to those that are interested in participating in this project. I have all of the grant details as well as links and really, my why for this project incorporated in this that I'm willing to share out. So please feel free to take a look at that if that's something that you're interested in, or if you're looking at in order to help fund your project. Although it doesn't seem like a lot at first, you really got to consider building materials, upkeep, seeds, overall things like that, Minecraft memberships. It all kind of piles together. But again, please, please, please think about those grants and funding. That really does wrap up phase 2. So if you are ready to complete phase 2, please feel free to move on to phase 3.